Two.
They are living it up.
The 11:30 modern hero pairings have been posted. Once again, 10:30 legacy, 11:30.
Oh, here we go. Brad Nelson coming in on Facebook. Send me one of those chairs, dog. I'll pimp whatever on the stream. Do you need my concurrent hours watched on average? Brad, it's going to take a little more than that, pal.
Yeah, do you know, Brad, I love you, man. I still don't have my backpack.
Ah, good.
To say nothing of time. Wait your turn. Wait your turn. That's all I'm saying.
There's a lightning strike to take care of a wild growth walker. Everybody wants a chair now.
You're right.
First it was the backpack.
No.
Then it was the katana sleeves. Now it's the chair that I have no control over that people want.
Everyone should be able to get their beak wet.
That's
what
right.
I'm saying. But Brad, there's a line, and you got to get in the
You
back
want one of these chairs? Go start a GoFundMe. How about that?
Go fund my chair.
Yeah, go fund the chair. Here's a chart, of course. See what Andrew's going to discard here. There goes a mountain. We'll head over to Alex. Little Sultai mid-range action. Don't see a ton of that. You know, it's funny how metagames evolve as we see a Merfolk Branchwalker going to reveal an Overgrown Tomb. That on the battlefield tap. We'll go over to Andrew here. I remember the days of Find Finality being game over for everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Haven't seen one of those cast in months. In what seriously feels like months. Here's a Crackling Drake.
So I like the Is It Phoenix deck because I think there's the right mixture of removal and good blockers to be good against mono red. I think the deck's actively good against mono red. And you have enough haste to tax Planeswalkers, which is the other big thing going on in the format. I suspect, however, that this matchup is not all that good because it's trivial for Han to answer your Drakes. The matchup really isn't about blocking. And once we're talking about 4 and 5 mana plays, Han's deck is so much more powerful than Is It Phoenix.
Well, there's a 4-mana play that's pretty good in Hostage Taker, going to take care of that Crackling Drake. I think I do agree with your assessment of the matchup. I'm not sure this is good for Andrew Jessup, especially because he doesn't have Niv Mizzet, a card that could take over the game all by itself.
Yeah, it's very much, I mean, I think his list, I would describe it as focusing in on Esper and mono red / mono white. Not a bad call for this weekend, but I think he is behind here.
It is also worth noting, too, Niv Mizzet, another one of those cards that just doesn't see like any play anymore. There was a time where if you played Niv Mizzet and got to untap with it, the game was over immediately. And now we don't even see, it doesn't even see play in sideboards.
I think it's a little undervalued. I think we should see more copies of that card. In sideboards at least, maybe not main deck.
A land there for Jessup. He does have a copy of Finale of Promise in hand. Not sure if Andrew wants to go that direction or not.
So he could Lightning Strike Chart a Course here, which is not bad.
He'll play Lava Coil instead. Crackling Drake going to come back. Trigger, draw a card again. Picked up a copy of Opt. Andrew will play Opt. Andrew really normally at the forefront of Standard, as here is Chart a Course. Draw 2 cards, among them a copy of Finale Promise, something that I think he's got a lot of these in his deck. Yeah, he's got 4 Finale Promise this weekend. That is a lot of those.
It may not read this way. It's real, in my opinion, very good against mono red.
Yeah.
You just get, you fend off with your early stuff, and then you just hit the spot where you're like, turn 3, turn 4, kill a thing and cantrip, or kill 2 things. You pull way ahead.
Merfolk Branchwalker. We'll explore, so there's a +1/+1 counter. No need for a Llanowar Elves.
But at root, I just don't believe that Jessup's deck is that good against Hydroid Krasis.
I buy that.
So we'll see if that comes up.
Assassin's Trophy is going to take care of old Crackling Drake. Let me see. Now I'm thinking of the old Is It Phoenix days, because now I'm looking for Dive Down.
Yeah.
And that's not in here.
No.
No, that card's long gone in this format.
I think it's just, when you're on 4 Finale of Promise, I think the cards that you can't just cast all the time just don't play with those.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, let's head back over to Andrew Jessup, whose Crackling Drake is dead for good now. Quite a few cards in hand, but you'd expect that from an Is It Phoenix player. Shock the draw. Here is 4 mana.
I agree with your some of your sort of implied assessment here of Niv Mizzet, Jessup's deck really doesn't have a knockout punch to play towards in game number 1. I mean, he draws a lot of extra cards, but if the game goes on for a long time, I think he's very likely to flood out. Because he just has no big thing to convert all of his extra cards into.
I think the best he can do is Gaia Eternal Kefnet, which he does have 2 copies of, and I do find that card to be pretty strong. But yeah, you don't see a Niv Mizzet-esque thing where if I untap with this, I get to go, full-blown crazy and the game's over.
An expansion explosion, something to do if the game goes on for a long. There's nothing like that. He's just gonna, here, I'm up a card, I'm up a card, I'm up a card. But,
I mean, maybe that card's Finale of Promise, maybe.
But there's no what's the spell here? It's just a removal spell and a cantrip.
Yeah.
There's no big spell to play.
Lava Coil that one.
I mean, Sultai midrange with the Explorer creatures and with the Command the Dreadhorde can easily keep its head above water in these kind of exchanges, Jessup draws a card and kills a thing, that's fine. Han's going to be able to draw a bunch of extra cards himself. Maybe resolve a Planeswalker that's worth a bunch.
Nissa, who shakes the world, is in hand right now. Is it time for this powerful Planeswalker? So we're going to cast it that way. All right, let's take a look at this. 5 mana, 5 loyalty. Whenever you tap a forest for mana, add an additional green. You can +1 to put 3+1/+1 counters on up to 1 target non-creature land you control. Untap it. It becomes a 0/0 elemental. It's got those counters, of course, with Vigilance and Haste. I didn't know about the Vigilance part. That's still a land. That means you can tap it for mana after combat. Shock will take care of the Merfolk Branchwalker. And the -8 lets you dig up a bunch of lands. Not sure how often that does come up, but this card has gotten pretty popular. And this is actually pretty nice here because you get to get the attack in and then play a little something post-combat. And because all of your mana double taps, there's a Vraska. That's a pretty good turn.
That's sweet.
This reminds me of this Nissa. So, all these Planeswalkers get...
And he can tap the Overgrown, yeah.
Whenever you can tap the Overgrown.
Yeah, I was just making sure that you could tap an Overgrown Tomb for green and black.
Yes.
And the wording on this allows you to do it. Just was confirming.
So I remember when the Titans came out.
Yeah.
And, Primeval Titan was obviously very good, and Inferno Titan was really good, but people didn't really realize, Frost Titan was good. Yep. It was, the way to beat all the other Titans. And then, that card picked up in popularity, and then Sun Titan. So we went, through this weird cycle of things. And it feels kind of the same with the Planeswalker, or with these Planeswalkers, right? It's Teferi and, Nissa, or not Nissa, Narset and some other ones. And all of a sudden people are just I don't know, maybe this Nissa's good. And it's no, this Nissa's really good.
Right. There's so much competition among the Planeswalkers that the likelihood that any one individual one shows up is pretty low because you can do a lot of good things for 5 mana. They print a lot of good 5 mana cards. And it's easy to say when you're seeing these cards that don't show up, well, it just must not be that good. And then it's on the battlefield against you for the first time. You're like, never mind. It's a full rebate on the mana. I'm getting attacked this turn. I'm getting attacked.
Yeah.
And there's pressure on me to answer this thing before it goes ultimate.
Also, this one does a nice job of attacking other Planeswalkers.
Right.
That's the other thing, is it does this great job at checking other Planeswalkers. So we're talking about a pretty darn good card here. Here's a Finale of Promise. A lot of loyalty, too. It's on 6 loyalty right now, just like Vraska is. Jessup deciding what he wants to target with the Finale of Promise. Looks like it's going to be Lightning Strike and Charter Course. Lightning Strike's going to take care of the land. Charter Course will allow Jessup to draw a couple of cards, discard one. Hasn't found Arclight Phoenix yet, which is notable.
Yeah, hasn't been for shortage of looking through cards here.
Back to Alex Hahn, number 16 on the SCG Tour leaderboard. He'll need to have a great weekend to qualify for the Players' Championship this weekend. But perhaps his eyes are set on the year-long race, which we have seen many players accomplish. Hostage Taker in hand. One thing about Hahn that has been steady all year long, though, is he's really liked Sultai strategies in Standard.
And you don't have to go that far back, just a few months, although I guess it seems like a lifetime ago now, where this was just, without question, the most popular, well-established deck in Standard. and now it's gone from that to just sort of a surprise fringe player.
A little bit, but we can't sell Command the Dreadhorde short. This is a very powerful card.
So I think Han just trying to see if there's a way this turn to get up to 8 mana. That would be ideal for Hostage Taker plus Crackling Drake. You really don't want to just run a Hostage Taker out there, have it get killed, and just draw a card for his trouble. You also want to do something about the Crackling Drake now because that card can start threatening the Planeswalkers next turn.
Mm-hmm. Well, it looks like Alex has found what he's looking for. Here is Tamiyo. All right, so we are starting to amass some Planeswalkers here.
Yeah, I guess he can also just go ahead and get back the Assassin's Trophy or what have you if he wants to do it that way.
I do think it's entirely possible to kill just all of the Crackling Drakes and that just being a thing that's available.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah.
Because here's another Assassin's Trophy. You don't really mind all that much if Jessup gets another land.
Right, Jessup has a limited number of cards he can win the game with, and no major haymaker to really draw towards. Nothing to do with all this mana. So, like mentioned earlier, there's a really good chance that he just sort of floods out here, even if he's up a ton of cards.
And looking at the ways that he can actually go about winning a game, Arclight Phoenix, okay, sure, those are hard to kill for good, obviously. Crackling Drakes, there are 3. 2 have been taken care of. God Eternal Kefnet, that hangs around for a while, but its advantage takes a little bit of time to build. Attack steps take a while. You're not dealing damage like a Nith Mizzet would indirectly, so it might actually just be really hard to just win a game for him.
Yeah,
like you mentioned. At least in this particular matchup. Opt will allow Jessup to see some more cards here.
I mean, Jessup's hand, I believe, is 5 spells, and I just don't know how much of it really matters.
There's a couple of shocks over there. Here comes an Augur of Bolas, which ideally finds another spell, but it's not a creature as we take a look. Top couple of cards. It was 2 islands and a God Eternal Kefnet. That'll go to the bottom. Next up, another Augur of Bolas. Take a look at these cards. A mountain, an island, and a Lightning Strike.
Lightning Strike's a pretty good get here.
Yeah, take care of Tamiyo. Maybe take care of that breeding pool. Not the most confident look there, though, for Andrew J. Having some difficulty navigating this game.
There's just a lot for him to manage right now. He's shot to take care of the Tamiyo. Be surprised if he did not take that option. Lightning Strike to me seems best served on the breeding pool.
Cut some more of the mana.
Well, you also just, what else would you do with it?
Sure. All right, strikes away. Shock will take care of that. And weirdly, Alex Han does only have 3 lands on the battlefield. And not a ton of them produce green mana.
You got to be a little nervous at this point about going plus with the Nissa and losing your last forest. I guess you're out there is trying to go ultimate with the Nissa, but he just might not have that many forests left in the deck.
Well, now Alex Han has got some things to think about here. Looks like Vrask is going to take care of Augur of Bolas. That's gone. We're going to tap this Overgrown Tomb for a little bit of mana. Untap it. It's a 3/3. Remember, the forests do add additional mana when tapped, so we might be able to see a Hostage Taker or something else here. It is going to be a Hostage Taker taking an Augur of Bolas. Here comes an attack with that Overgrown Tomb. And now play the Augur of Bolas from the Hostage Taker post-combat because Overgrown Tomb is going to add more mana. And as usual, Augur of Bolas.
Yeah, just enter the battlefield, be reminded of 3 non-spell cards you play with, put them on the bottom.
That's correct. A classic here on the SCG Tour. Tormenting Voice discarding a Shocked is where Jessup, goes next. Looks like a lot of lava coils in hand.
Would have been really good for Jessup to find some number of, even one Arclight Phoenix would have made a big difference in this game.
For how many cards he's seen in this game, it's a little crazy that he hasn't found one yet.
He's been drawing. It's interesting to watch a game where someone every single turn is killing multiple things and drawing multiple extra cards and saying it feels like he's just been swimming upstream the whole time.
That's what it's felt like.
He has.
There's a real lack of, as you mentioned, just kind of a payoff. And that payoff could even be a Planeswalker.
Right, just a route.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, just something to do with all of these resources.
All right, Finale of Promise again. Opt and Lava Coil. Lava Coil is going to go after the land. Okay. And now Opt will resolve, so take a look at the top card. It will stay the top card. Oh, there's a Phoenix finally. Looks like Jessup wants to take a look at the ultimate here on Nissa. We can do the same thing. For the -8, you get an emblem with lands you control have indestructible. Search your library for any number of forest cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library.
So this can get breeding pools and overgrown tombs.
Yes.
Also 3 basic forests in Han's deck as well.
And if this ultimate does get to go off, it is, and it is going off right now. Okay. It's going to dig up a couple of lands. So these these land issues Alex is having, those are gone now. So is the Nissa, of course, but looks like the problem's somewhat solved. And there's the emblem. The lands are indestructible, so if another Nissa shows up, that means attacking with lands will be pretty easy. Don't have to really worry about all that much.
And a second Nissa in hand to rebuild with next turn. As you mentioned, that emblem is not going to be managing with the lightning strikes and lava coils we've seen from Jessup the last few turns. That's going to be off the table.
Lightning strike's going to go after Hostage Taker. So that means Augur Bolus is going to get in here for a point of damage, but Jessup is just struggling. Vraska hasn't been used just yet, so Alex Hahn will use that. Up to 7. Jade Light Ranger, the card that is drawn. We're going to head back over to Andrew J. Your reigning invitational champion will draw a card. Looks like he found out how many ops can one person cast in a game. Take a look at the top card. Tormenting Voice.
Sure.
Will allow Jessup to discard Arclight Phoenix for some value.
Not going to do better than that here.
And a 1. And a 2. Crackling Drake and Steam Vents.
I think Jessup could even be at risk of getting decked in this game.
Wouldn't surprise me. All right, another Arclight Phoenix now off the Crackling Drake. Got a little something cooking here, I think. You ever build a constructed deck and then you just realize you don't really have a great way to win? It's happened to me before.
Oh, yeah. And a huge percentage of them have been blue-red decks.
Well, it's so enticing all the card drawing you can do.
Yeah, I've built all these decks that are just nothing but shocks and divinations. I'm like, how can they possibly win? We'll be up all these cards. And then, you flood out slightly, and you're like, oh, never mind, that's that's how you lose.
How can they win? How can I win? We're checking the size of the Crackling Drake. It appears to be quite large. Lava Coil. might be cast. Now we're going to dig through the graveyard a little bit here. Decisions for our Is It Phoenix player. All right, that's going to take care of the Augur of Bolas. That's exiled now, so it goes back over to Andrew because it was his to begin with. But a pirate took it hostage. Now here's an Arclight Phoenix. There's an attack. Looks like going to go after Han's life total and ignore Vraska.
Yeah, I mean, it sets up the Crackling Drake to be lethal next turn.
So now we head back over to Han. Remember, no dive downs hiding out in Andrew's list. It's not that style of Is It Phoenix anymore, folks. Command the Dreadhorde in hand here for Alex. He's got a lot of life to work with, so that could be an option here moving forward. Again, this Sultai Dreadhorde deck, pretty popular. Certainly been highlighted by Jerry Thompson, who knows a thing or two about building a constructed deck that wants to grind. There's Wild Growth Walker. And here is Command the Dreadhorde. So, let's bring a bunch of goodies back, among them hostage takers, Nissa, Tameo. I suppose it doesn't have to be hostage takers. Wild Growth Walker, Merfolk Branch Walker. Here you do see the powerful sorcery. Choose any number of target creature or planeswalker cards in graveyards, so it could be your opponent's. Command the Dreadhorde deals damage to you equal to the total converted mana cost of those cards. Put them onto the battlefield under your control. So it is a powerful one, Mr. Grinch.
And with the Wild Growth Walkers plus Explore, you get to mitigate a lot of the damage. Some of these spots you actually end up on life when it's all said and done.
All right, top card, Llanowar Elves. That'll go into the graveyard. Wild Growth Walker going to get some counters. There are two of them on the battlefield. Han just taking the dice from the Crackling Drake. Shrunk it, but we can keep track of it, of course. Some black dice for the Planeswalkers here. White dice +1/+1 counters. Black dice loyalty counters here on the SCG Tour. Make it clear for our wonderful viewers at home, as now Han has some Planeswalkers to work with. Looks like he's going to get back the Assassin's Trophy. Tap the Overgrown Tomb for black. It'll generate a green. Assassin's Trophy will take care of the Crackling Drake. Next up is Nissa. Nissa will activate on a basic forest. Remember, the lands are indestructible because of the emblem. And we'll probably see an attack here in just a moment.
Just want a little bit of cushion here. If Han can go from 9 to 10, that cuts out a lot of Jessup's ways to backdoor this one, because he deals a lot of damage in increments of 3.
I will say one thing about this format you probably have to keep in mind coming into this tournament is that some of these games might take a while.
Well, Sultai is historically known for this.
Yeah.
And I don't think Jessup's deck is the slowest deck necessarily, but in this matchup it's going to grind down to a halt a lot of the time.
Well, Jessup is down to 1. Han is at 10. There is a world that Jessup can get this done this turn. It's not easy.
Not impossible. I mean, he's got to chain together a lot of card drawing spells.
Phoenixes, plural. Can he only get Han down to 1?
I mean, if he's got nothing with Flashback down there, I think he can only hit to 1. That Vraska gave him just the cushion needed.
Yep, you see the hand. 2 Arclight Phoenixes and a land. He comes up a point short, and he will concede the game. So Alex Han is going to win game number 1 here over Andrew Jessup. Sultai Dreadhorde up a game now over Is It Phoenix. And you can see Alex Han's already getting his eyes on the clock. Wants to know how much time he's got to work with. Well, Alex, you got to start with sideboarding, my friend, and so does Andrew Jessup. And we'll take a look at the sideboards here. We're going to start with Andy J. He's got 3 Spell Pierce, 3 Legion Warboss, 2 Ral Is It Viceroy. 2 Narset. Parter avails a Shivan Fire, a Lava Coil, and a Beacon Bolt.
I love the Beacon Bolt and the Lava Coil here. I don't think this is a good matchup to swap into Legion War Boss. Sultai's just got too much removal, too much blocking. We'll be talking to the Planeswalkers and maybe the Negates too.
Okay. For Alex, up a game with 3 Thrashing Brontodons, 3 Duress, 3 Disdainful Stroke, 2 the Elder Spell, 2 Ripjaw Raptor to help that red matchup, and 2 Cast Down.
I like the Ripjaw Raptor, the Duresses, and the Cast Downs. All seem good to me.
Ripjaw Raptor's starting to see a little bit more play nowadays.
Enough mono red, and it's really good there.
It's actually pretty good against them, yeah? 5 toughness.
Yeah, it's just the magic number.
Yeah. Plus, they don't mind drawing a card or 2 if you'll let them. Well, these players are going to sideboard here for game number 2. We are going to take a moment to hear from our friends over at Ultimate Guard. Game number 2 about to be underway here between Alex Hahn and Andrew Jessup. Sultai Dreadhorde against Izzet Phoenix in the standard portion of our Season 1 Invitational here at SCG Con Summer. Keep in mind, after this round, Patrick and I will be stepping out of the booth. Brian Overturf and Todd Anderson will be stepping in for rounds 3 and 4. We'll be back for rounds 5 and 6, our first and second rounds of Modern here today. Before Ryan and Todd take you home for rounds 7 and 8. As it looks like Andrew Jessup is mulliganing very quickly, and I think Alex Hahn might be doing the exact same thing. So, looks like we got pretty Peter Ingram heading into the sideboard here. We've heard some rumors about his Modern deck that he's been doing well with on Magic Online and has gotten some people to play. A little Devoted Druid Vizier of Remedies action, a combo we've seen before, obviously.
Speaking of Modern Horizons is out now, right?
Oh, here we go. You asked that like you don't know.
No, the physical, you can pick it up now, right? Like SCG.
That sounds right. I'm only making fun of you because since you spent most of the day yesterday playing Magic Online, Magic Horizons.
Oh, yeah. I just got to get one more Sunbaked Canyon, and then I can pivot over into the Modern queues.
Battle Screech.
Battle Screech. Flashback Battle Screech.
Is Battle Screech still good?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
I mean, it's a high-power draft format, you know. Battle Screech still good.
Couple of lands here to start for Alex, while Andrew J does not have a second one. This is a Jade Light Ranger, Trigger, Explore. How about again, Wild Growth Walker? Yeah, the bin's not a bad place for both. It's going to be a 4-3 as we head over to Jessup. He's drawn a mountain, so he should be able to play now. And Lightning Strike will take care of the J-Light Ranger. Back over to Alex Hahn. We're going to go. I think he might have a Ripjaw Raptor in hand. And he does. Let's take a look at this one, because this card, Ripjaw Raptor, and the Enrage mechanic was something that I know people were excited about when Ixalan was revealed. None of these cards have seen a ton of play, though, unfortunately. But Ripjaw Raptor, its 5 toughness, as you mentioned, is the sweet spot.
Yep. There are a lot of good red cards that deal 4 or less, and not really any that deal 5. Fight with Fire being the closest thing. Even in that scenario, you get paid out. And Yeah, it's very good against red base removal.
Well, we're about to shake the world here where we were going to, but a Spell Pierce took care of that. That's a good thing for Andrew Jessup. Had that Nissa resolved, this game was probably going to be over. So he handled that threat, took 4 from the Dinosaur, and we head back over to your reigning Invitational champion.
Yeah, Jessup has missed a lot of land drops here. Going to be a challenge for him to catch up, but that Spell Pierce fended off the worst of it.
Another Tormenting Voice is going to allow Andrew to discard a Finale of Promise. And he'll pass the turn back to not find a land. So Ripjaw Raptor still on the loose as a breeding pool to draw there for Alex Hahn. The Raptor will come in here for 4. Jessup's going to fall down at 12. This is the duress to clear the path for something. Let's see what Andrew's working with here.
Drake Welch. Magic player Drake Welch. Please come to the registration stage for a missing.
Opt 2 Crackling Drakes, 2 Finales of Promise, and a Spell Pierce to hand here for Andy J.
So there's one of those coast is clear here for a follow Planeswalker here if you take the Spell Pierce. Also noteworthy that Jessup's hand, as you would imagine, not a whole lot that can be done about Ripjaw Raptor.
Not too much of a surprise there.
No.
Opt the selection. Oh, well, that's a good reason why. Second Ripjaw Raptor is going to make life pretty difficult here for Andrew Jessup. He's drawn another copy of Tormenting Voice.
I mean, even if he draws well from here, he's going to be very likely to take 8 next turn and then 4 the next, and that's the full 20.
And given that he's playing red-blue, in order to get rid of these Ripjaw Raptors, you're going to have to give your opponent some cards.
Yep. Oh, I'm not even accounting for that. I'm just saying, can literally Jessup survive the next 2 turns? That's already going to be really hard.
Tormenting Voice will draw Jessup 2 cards. Lightning Strike and Arclight Phoenix. Pass that turn back over to Mr. Hahn. In for 4. Let's make it 8. Jessup down to 4. It's a duress. Hand is going to be similar, of course. 2 Crackling Drakes, an Arclight Phoenix, the Finale of Promise, a Spell Pierce, and a Lightning Strike.
Seems like Finale of Promise is really the only path that he has to be able to play enough spells in the next turn to get the Arclight Phoenixes back, which feels to me like the only fathomable route to stabilizing.
Well, here is Tamiyo now. It's going to minus, get back Nissa.
Sure.
And set up trouble for the next turn. Jessup will draw. Chart a course, I suppose, is where he'll start. I think he knows it's too little too late, however, as he'll draw 2 cards. Discard 1 of them. There goes an Arclight Phoenix. Next up is an Opt. That's spell number 2. Top card becomes the bottom card now here for Jessup. He'll draw once again. Steam Vents and an extension of the hand. Alex Hahn going to win this match here over Andrew Jessup. 2-0. Saltai Dreadhorde is going to take care of Izzet Phoenix, and for Alex Hahn, number 16 on our